Well, good morning. Let's see, what time is it? It's just slightly after 10 o'clock in the morning. And this bike is ready for a first start. We believe deep in our heart that it's ready to go. I went to the custom seat maker yesterday and talked to them about fitting the seat to the bike. The one that we got is just wrong. It's up here on the shelf. And so we're going to arrange to take the bike over to them next week, and they will redo the seat so that it actually fits down onto the bike properly. That's not going to be a problem. Right now we're just getting ready to do the first start. I've got gas in the tank. We don't have any leaks on the new gas lines. That's always a good thing. We dumped the sump just in case to see if there's oil accumulated in the sump. There was no oil in the sump at all. So this engine, we believe, was rebuilt 10 years ago when this project was in process by somebody else. So I think the engine's completely dry. We closed up the sump again, and what we're going to do, we're going to take off the rocker covers, and we're going to take off the rocker covers and inject about 6 ounces of oil in here to let it drain down into the sump so that the sump has oil in it when we start the bike. Okay? So, and at the same time, we're going to check clearances on the valves before we actually do the first start. So that's what we're doing today. Should be a few minutes before we try the first start, and we'll see what happens. All right, the green Fastback is actually ready for a first start. In preparation, we opened up the sump to make sure that it wasn't full of oil. It wasn't. We closed it up, and then I've injected 6 ounces of oil into the rocker box through the valve cover to make sure that there is oil in the sump for splash factor once it fires up, and for return oil check right away. So assuming it's going to start. We got a good click over there. We've turned on the ignition. We've got a good strong light, so we have good strong electrics. What else we did something else in preparation for it.
Check the valves.
Oh, that's true. While we had the rocker covers off, we checked the valves. They're set to 6 and 8 just beautifully. Somebody rebuilt this engine and put some really nice parts in it because the valve keepers are titanium, not original. So whoever did the engine did a good job. And we checked the ignition timing statically. It's set to 28 degrees static. And once we start the bike, we will do a strobe check on the ignition. So at this point in time, we believe that it's ready to go. And we're going to turn on the ignition, and Kevin's going to give her a kick, and we're going to see what happens. This bike hasn't been tried to start in 10 years. And it's going to be tight. Okay. You want to try the choke on that Mikuni? It's got a single Mikuni on it, and we're going to try a little choke now.
Let's find it.
Yeah, it's way under there. You see it?
Yep.
You got it? All right, cool. Let's see what happens now. Okay, we're going to stop this for a moment, and we'll do some more kicking and a screaming and a hoping and a pumping and see what happens. We'll come back to you in a moment. Okay, we're still kicking. We kicked it another half a dozen times. The bike is not giving us any indication that it wants to start. I mean, no popping, no backfire, no nothing. We checked the ignition by putting the timing light on it. We got flashes out of the timing light, meaning that it is firing, but we weren't sure it was getting through to the spark plug. So we've got the spark plugs out now, hanging out in the wind, and we're going to kick it over a few times, and you can see the plugs right there. We just ground them with a nice heavy wire and watch for spark when we kick it over. So we're going to do that now just so we can see the spark, even though we sincerely believe it is sparking. We want to see it. And I'll give you progress on the first start in a few minutes. All right, we got great spark. Spark plugs are sparkling just beautifully. We're going to kick it a few more times as is. And then I just checked the setting on the pilot air mixture screw, and it was set 1.5 turns out, which is the perfect starting point. We're going to kick it a few more times so we don't get any joy at all. We'll drop the bowl off of the carburetor and check the pilot jet. So here we go. All right, we're gonna put the bike up in the air, drop the bowl off the Mikuni and check the pilot jet. We have all kinds of compression there, but on the other hand, we might as well do, while it's sitting here, Kevin, why don't we pull the plugs and do a compression check just for the heck of it? All right, this is the process that first starts take, so come along for the ride. All right, we did the compression test on the left-hand cylinder. I've got 110 pounds. We're going to do this side now, and just for demonstration purposes, let you see how we do it. We hold the throttle full open and kick it through at least 10 times and see what we get on the gauge. And we should get within 10 pounds of the other side. So go ahead and kick the heck out of it. What'd you get?
Less than 60.
Less than 60.
Let's do that
again. Oh my, yeah, we're gonna have to take a look. That's interesting. Now it's a brand new motor as far as being rebuilt is concerned, but still, let's we're gonna look into that. All right, so we got 110 pounds compression on the left side, 60 pounds on the right side. Like I say, the engine was just rebuilt. It's not unusual. The rings need to seat in. Maybe the valves need to, I don't know, but the valves, they should work just fine. We put a little bit of Marvel Mystery Oil down this right-hand side. We're going to try the compression check again. And as soon as we get it screwed in there, we're going to try that again and see what we get. And if we don't get better than 60, we're going to lift up the tank a little bit, go into those valves again, make sure that they're operating okay. We set the gaps, or check them, the gaps are perfect, but we're gonna watch the operation of the valves with the valve covers off as we kick the bike through and see what they look like. So that's where we are on the first start. We're still trying to get a good compression on both sides. Okay, throttle all the way open. Yep. 10 good kicks, and here we go.
I got up to 90.
Got it up to 90?
Yep.
So that's interesting. That's better.
Yes.
Now we had 110, 90. Should be within 10 pounds of each other if it's optimum on a brand new motor where the rings may not have seated. This is making me feel better about the overall condition.
If we kick it through a few more times, it may jump back up.
We're going to kick it a little bit more longer before we start taking things apart.
Yeah, let me try it again.
All right, we dropped the bowl off of the Mikuni, pulled the pilot jet out, and it was clean as a whistle, and the bowl was full of gasoline. So we have good gas flow, and the pilot jet, which is used for starting, is perfectly clear. We put the pilot jets back in. I'm going to close up the bowl. In the meantime, Kevin is undoing the bolts holding the gas tank in place, and we're going to lift the tank off and double check the valve action, because that last compression check on the right hand side, 60 pounds again. So we're going to check the valves out now. Okay, we're still working on the first won't start. We just pulled the caps off. We pulled the tank off for access. We pulled the caps off of the valves, checked the valve action up, down at the right point. We checked the gaps. The gaps were, boy, dead nuts on We adjusted one just a little bit, you know, about a bazillionth of an inch, but nothing that would bother anything. We pulled the pilot light, pilot light, I like that.
Yeah.
We pulled the pilot jet out of the Makuni and cleaned it, but basically it was clean as a whistle, so that wasn't a problem. Yeah, we double checked the static timing. It wasn't off, but we moved it a bazillionth of an inch again. We put in fresh plugs, okay? So we've got it set to 28 degrees. We've got the timing, static timing set. We've checked compression. We've checked spark. We've checked carburetor. We checked valves. We're still, as of that last compression check, we got 60 pounds on the right, 110 on the left. We did get one test on the right hand side that was up to, I think, 90 pounds, right? So we're gonna keep kicking it and see what happens. In the meantime, as was discussed in the comment section of the YouTube channel, people noticed that these studs that hold the front of the tank on seemed to be not straight. And they're right, they weren't. Because the hole in the tank that takes the studs, you can, if you look sideways here, you can see the difference in slant. The one on the far side looks pretty straight. The one on this left side, not so much. Now, the good news is I made these studs and I made them to work with jam nuts. So I can take this stud out for sure and bend it down a little bit and put it back in and then use the jam nut to hold it in place. The other one, I'm not sure what I'm going to do with him. I'm going to bend this one on the right-hand side and test it and see how it comes out. And that's where we are. This is just for cosmetics. All right, back when I was working on IBM equipment, we were never allowed to use the term bend. We always were told to use the term formed. So we never bent something, we would form something. So I just formed this down a little bit. You can actually see the curvature right here a little. And this has now been formed down, and looking parallel, they're pretty close. So I'm not going to do anything with this one. I've done this one down a little bit, and we're going to try another fit and see how smoothly they come through the mounts. If it's anywhere better, we're going to leave it, because I don't like doing this kind of we would used, in the olden days, we'd refer to this as a kludge.
Yeah.
When you modify, it's called unauthorized modification, kludge. We weren't supposed to do that. Okay, so we're going to try a test fit now. All right, we double checked the valves, we double checked the valve action, the clearances, we cleaned the pilot jet, we double checked the static timing, moved it a little bit, put in fresh spark plugs. We've got good gas flow. Compression, like I say, last time was 60 pounds. We're going to do a kick over here and see if we can get a good first start. Okay, we're trying one more time on the first won't start. We've double checked the timing, put in fresh plugs. The effort continues. Let's see if we get signs of life out of this one. Actually, at this point in time, I'd be happy with a pop back. Just any indication that the bike wants to run. All right, kick the heck out of it, Kevin. Ooh, I heard noise. I heard a... Is the choke on or off, Kevin?
It's off.
Try it and see what happens. If it fires, don't let it run away right away.
Nope.
All right, we're going to give it another try here. All right, was that a pop? I saw a wisp of smoke out of the right pipe, so that's something happening. Give it a couple more.
It might have been some gas coming out of me. So.
Yeah, I think it was the pipe.
You sure it was the pipe?
Yeah.
There's your first
Hey, I heard a pop.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, one more time and then we'll cut this off. Well, you think you want to go again?
Yeah, she's trying.
Okay. It is trying. After all that time, it's got to remember that it's a motorcycle. Oh, pop out of... Pup. Another pup on the left. Okay. Okay. All right, I'll take over the kicking, Kevin. I'll try a few and then we'll call it good. We are still on video.
Choke's on. Yep. Here, let me get it. I can see it.
I'm gonna do it like this.
Yep.
You were getting better at action than I am.
And I was with the choke on. Choke on. Here, I get it. Good.
Sort of makes you want to have a carb you can tickle, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does.
Okay.
Brits and Japanese still fussing over that little World War II thing.
All right, we're going to take a break, catch our breath, double check, and start again. All right, we're going to double check the compression on the right-hand side. Throttle wide open, 10 good kicks. Let's see what happens after we kicked the heck out of it before and actually got a pop or two. I'd like to see that compression come up. What do you see?
About 80.
80. Okay, so come up 20 pounds.
It's gonna come
Maybe those rings are starting to settle in.
up. Yeah, I think so.
All right, well, we'll keep kicking for a while, and right now we're going to take a break because we're both exhausted. Okay, we're both exhausted. We've both been kicking on it. We both got the occasional pop, but no real indication that it wants to run. We're going to put it up in the air. We're going to pull the carburetor off. We're like 99.999% sure that the ignition is A, sparking really good, and B, sparking at the right time or close enough to the right time for the bike to run. As far as the ignition is concerned, there's no reason why this bike shouldn't run. That leads us to the carburetor, and we're going to take that off and take it apart and go through the carb and see what we can see. So that's where we are so far. All right, so we got the carburetor here, carbonizers as I like to call them, and we've got it completely disassembled, and we've checked every passageway, every jet, everything, even the choke, took it apart, and we see nothing. I mean, it's absolutely pristine, but this pilot jet is completely unmarked, and so I don't know what size it is. I can look through it. I don't know if I hold this up like this, if you can see daylight through it. Yeah, you can, see? Looks like it should be okay, but I have done research on these Mikunis to the nth degree, and I got a chart in my office showing all of the different combinations and what are the optimum combinations of jetting for one single Mikuni on a 750 and on an 850 bike. So we're going to go in there and check to see what size pilot jet the optimum jetting calls for, because I've got a collection of pilot jets, and if it I'll find the one that it says it needs and put that in it. So that's the next thing we're going to try. We're going to try a different pilot jet that meets the theoretical requirements of this bike. This is a neat thing. I just put a rubber tip on the spray tube, and it fits in the passages on the carburetors and lets you put stuff through under pressure, sort of like that. Okay, kind of neat. It helps. So we're going to go do some research. All right, so we disassembled the carburetor again, and I hours and hours and hours of research on Mikunis and have some really interesting spreadsheets showing all the variations of all the various parts, the linearity, and which ones are close to others, because Mikuni's notorious for having part numbers 1 digit apart that are not, in fact, one size larger or smaller. So I've got all that information. I also have a list of about 30 clients running single Mikunis and what jets those carburetors use. And I've come up with the ultimate combination of jetting for a Mikuni for a single carb on a 650-850. So I got that listing, and basically the ultimate carb takes a 35 jet, pilot jet 2.5 slide, needle jet 159 P2, needle 6DH3. The clip is in the 3rd position. The main jet is a 260, the air jet's a 20. We found on this bike the main jet was a 230, which would have absolutely nothing to do with starting, so we put in a 260. We found that the pilot jet in the bike, in this carburetor, the numbers are so worn off that we can't read them. It looks like a 35, but I have a 35, so I put in a 35. So I've got all these parts from years and years and years of working with Mikunis on Nortons, because that used to be the hot lick. I mean, single Mikunis were the big deal. So I did all this research, and I've got all these parts. So basically, we changed out a couple of parts that the main jet's not going to make any difference at all for starting, and probably won't make any difference at all for running either. And the pilot jet, if it wasn't a 35, putting a new 35 in here could possibly make a difference in the starting. So I'm going to put this carb back on the bike, and Kevin had to go home, and tomorrow we're working at his shop, working on a BSA at his shop. So I'm going to put this back on, give it a few strokes, and if it doesn't start, I'm going to call it a day, because I'm extremely tired, and right now it's 2:30 in the afternoon, and we've been kicking on this bike for about 2 hours, so I'm rather tired. So still trying to get that first good start, and not yet. All right, I had the two black Commandos leave. Made a really nice pair, but they've left. Still got the aluminum one here. I've got him covered for protection. The Triumph needs to go back up on the lift, and that's going to be the next thing. I owe it to the owner to get that thing up on the lift and get some work done. Yellow Norton's still waiting on the speedometer. This guy we've worked on all day long, been kicking on it all day long, and have had no joy at all. I'm starting to wonder about the cam timing. Now, the engine was rebuilt 10 years ago. All the bits and pieces and parts look beautiful. They've got some very expensive bits and pieces in there. And the bike is put together well, the engine's put together well, everything seems to be working, but the bike will not run. Couple spits and pops is all we got out of it all day today. We've been through the ignition timing at least 3, maybe 4 times. We've been through the carburetor at least 3 times. We just don't know at this point. So I'm going to take a break. I need a mental break from this bike and work on something else. But in the meantime, I have a question for you. Basically, if you want to offer suggestions on starting this thing, go ahead, but I think we pretty well covered all of the possibilities. You see anything novel that we didn't? Let me know. But don't guess. In the meantime, here's the side cover, and here's the latch that goes through this hole. And it goes through the hole, now that I've got it stuck in there. And it goes through this piece, and it goes into this piece, which is mounted on the frame of the bike. The question is, does this piece go on this side with this in it, or does it go on the back side with this piece into it? I ask because it goes in and clicks into place either way. It's got a clicker fitting on the back. I can put it in here and force it through, and it'll click into place. I can put it in from the other side, and it'll click into place. In either case, after it goes through this hole, after, not before, but after, this guy then snaps through the middle. So we cannot find any information at all on installing this roto lock. It could go this way, it could go with this underneath and look like that. If you know of anybody who has a Fastback that you can look at and give us a hint on whether or not this round piece goes on the outside or the inside, I'd really appreciate knowing that. We know where the female goes. It goes against the frame. The male goes in and mates with the female. The male gets held into place by this white one, either on the outside or the inside. We don't know which. And we don't want to force it in because it goes in and clicks. Now, once it clicks in place, it's not coming back out. So I can click it in here or I can click it in there. And then click this right through the center. Click, click, click. But you only get one shot. And this was broken because it had been put through here without having been in the side cover, and I had to release it, and I couldn't, and I broke it, and I finally had to saw the little T-fitting off in order to free that. So, anyway, if you have any friends with a Fastback, and you can send me photos or information on whether this goes, the white thing goes on the outside or the white thing goes on the inside, I'd really appreciate it. Do me a favor, don't guess, because we've been guessing for about, I don't know, 6 weeks now, and we have had all kinds of hours spent on the internet trying to find information on it, and just can't do it. So that's our latest project. I'm going to put this thing aside. I spent way too much time today on the Mikuni, way too much time on the bike. This is some stuff that came off the internet. It really isn't clear enough to answer any questions. It's just not worth looking at. So anyway, we're going to put this bike aside for a while so I can make a mental reset. And I will work on the Triumph, and there's a BSA coming in here probably in the next 15 minutes to half an hour. That's going to take up that spot over there. So that's where we are. Bit of a frustrating day. And I may start on this. No, I got to work on the Triumph first. Get the Triumph out of here, then the electric start on this bike, this gorgeous bike. We're going to put the alternate electric starter on it. And it's just a lovely bike. Okay, so that's here. And I'm just keeping it covered for security. And that's where we are. Interesting day, frustrating day. I got 2 bikes gone, so that I've got extra room in the shop now, so that's nice. So plenty to keep me busy. And it's now 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It's been a full day. Not a particularly happy day, but a full day. Well, one final thought for the day. Remember, this bike came in boxes and pieces. It sat as an unfinished project for 10 years when I got it. There's no guarantee that the rotor inside that primary is the right rotor or that it's keyed right. I mean, I may be setting the timing according to a rotor with the timing mark in the wrong place. So one of the things I'm going to try before I take the timing case apart is to open up the primary on this guy and check the initial timing with a degree wheel rather than just using the timing pointer. Yeah, that's something I'll try. I'll try that next week because I really do not want to take the timing case apart. I'll try everything I can think of many, many times before I pull that timing cover off and start checking on cam timing. So that's it for the day. I'm calling it a day, waiting for the BSA. As soon as it gets here, I'm done for the day. Too nice a day to be in here. Okay. Quick end of day video. This Beezer just came in. It's an old-time client of mine, and bike's been sitting for a while. A little hard to start. Says the clutch slips. C'est la vie. We'll jump on that as soon as I can. Tomorrow we're working at Kevin's, Kevin's shop. And anyway, that's the end of the day. I'm going inside. I'm tired.